Got another cut. It's a banger.
Stunned, I'm flabbergasted, I'm not surprised.
A banger.
A surprise. So yeah, let's all be surprised by this.
First and foremost, Mac Jones won the quarterback job.
Don't kid yourself.
Now that we're over the shock of the Patriots cutting Cam Newton, let's answer a few questions. Starting with, why was Cam cut seemingly out of nowhere? Now, before I tell you the right answers, let's see what some of these knuckleheads have to say.
I believe there are a lot of things in play here, Skip. It's hard for me to believe to just dismiss Cam not being vaccinated.
2 COVID issues with the Patriots, and they let him go. I was told this morning by a source I trust, the COVID stuff, last straw.
And I thought, Cam took the lead here. It's his job to lose, I thought.
Yeah.
And then he had to go through protocols for the unvaccinated.
He's not one of those players that's vaccinated. If it's close, one guy vaccinated, the other guy isn't.
When they call to ask about players, as they might with Cam Newton, as they have with other players, they ask, are they in shape? Do they want to play? And are they vaccinated?
Team first. All these coaches, all these ownerships are looking at a guy, okay, you can blow our whole thing up by not being vaccinated.
I agree.
We can miss games.
I do believe that was a factor.
This COVID nonsense, don't listen to anybody. I got it sourced. It drove them nuts.
And after that experience last year, he still went through the protocols only for the unvaccinated, where I thought he was winning the race, opening the door. Bill Belichick said the door was then open. This is the result.
New England leaked the story last week. They were unhappy with this COVID snafu by Cam.
I'm not surprised. Now, here is what has become abundantly clear in 2021. I may not like it, you may not like it, so you may not like it, but it's become abundantly clear. You cannot be mediocre and unvaccinated. You have to pick one. Can't be both.
All right. What else you got?
I don't know. I don't know.
But what that tells you is they are so sure of Mac Jones that they felt like it would be unfair to have Cam on the roster. They've got Brian Hoyer, a capable backup there in reserve. And so rather than put Cam in a position that might be a little bit awkward, they thanked him and said, we are ready to go with the youngster. The new Patriot era begins now.
So of all 5 quarterbacks, the one I've gone, it was a little better than I thought, is Mac Jones.
To back up just how good this kid has been, I'm going to repeat these stats from Pro Football Focus, your favorite website. His overall grade, Mac Jones, in 3 preseason games, was the best that they have ever scored for a rookie quarterback in a preseason, better than Patrick Mahomes in 2017, and the best that they've scored since they started in 2013. Okay. I'll buy that.
Right.
I'll take that to my bank. And he also led all quarterbacks of any year this preseason in passing grade on 10-plus yard throws.
Right.
His downfield throws,
Right.
they were on the mark, on the money. And his turnover-worthy rate led all of football in the preseason because it was 0%.
Right.
He threw not one ball that they graded as turnover-worthy,
Right.
whether it was picked or not.
Right.
And he had no picks, obviously. Okay, those are all bankable by Bill Belichick.
Right.
Who's good, great.
Right.
And in the end, I kept telling you, my eye test tells me this kid is just playing at a little higher level.
The first rookie quarterback for the Patriots to start week 1 since Bill Parcells did it with first overall pick Drew Bledsoe. Before that, it only happened one time, right? It was Jim Plunkett.
Yeah, Jim Plunkett back in the 60s.
And now here comes Mac Jones.
Give up any additional first-round picks. And from the moment Mac Jones stepped in there this summer, he looked like he was a guy ready to take over. He led 8 preseason drives this summer. 8. Every one resulted in either a field goal or a touchdown. There was not a single drive this preseason that he initiated that they didn't score on.
The quarterback is the position that has to be reliable. I don't want to hear this morning that Mac Jones won this job because he was good against fourth stringers in the preseason. That didn't hurt. But you don't go from backing up to being the only really starting viable quarterback in a team because you were great against the fourth stringers. Don't kid yourself.
You can't dismiss that the rookie did play good. Maybe he exceeded Coach Belichick's expectations and what they thought they would get out of Mac Jones.
Cam Newton's so well respected and so popular in the locker room that really maybe it's better off if he's not around, if he's allowed to find a job somewhere else, and that the job can belong entirely to Mac Jones without any questions, without any interference, and he can go on as the new starter for the Patriots this season and potentially for the next decade plus. So Cam Newton is released, sent on his way. He's allowed to sign with any other team, and Mac Jones is handed the keys to the Patriots franchise and expected to be the quarterback this season and for many seasons to come.
Banger.
1 to 10.
11.
11? He's not lying. Nick Foles.
No.
And it got to the point where at the end of the practice, with the New England media looking on, Belichick walked down the sideline to where the kid was kneeling because he was worn out because it was hot and humid up in the Northeast. And he reached down and kind of high-fived and low-fived him. Right. And you brought the point. You think he ever did that to Tom Brady? And I'm a big no on that.
Here's the thing I'll say. First and foremost, Mac Jones won the quarterback job. Now, why they cut Cam Newton, was that Cam Newton asking to be cut if he didn't win the job because we knew that Cam Newton played so well in the preseason? That I don't know. But the one thing I think we can surmise from the tweet by Adam Schefter is that Mac Jones won the starting quarterback job. Now, why does the vaccinated or unvaccinated play into it? I'm not sure. Just strictly sticking from a football standpoint, though, I think we can surmise, and I think it's pretty easy, that Josh McDaniels, who's the offensive coordinator, and Bill Belichick, who's the head coach, have chosen to go with Mac Jones, which is the choice I thought they should have made all along.
Did they do that because they were going to start Mac Jones and wanted to give him an opportunity to play someplace else?
So the Patriots have their guy who's been better than Cam Newton all preseason in Mac Jones, but I am floored by how little value Cam Newton seems to have.
I don't know. Those guys are pretty convincing. To add a few things here, if we're assuming what the experts are saying to be true and Mac has earned the starting job, then it doesn't really make sense for the Patriots to keep Cam Newton on as a backup. In general, you want your backup to fit the play style of your starter as much as possible. And with Cam as your backup to Mac Jones, you're going to have a backup offense, a completely separate playbook to run should your starter get hurt for a period of time. And this is why you see, RG3 backing up Lamar Jackson, or for instance, you see how Mitchell Trubisky can suddenly perform in Buffalo's offense, whereas he did not for dipshit. Now, I want to address a question
Quarterback who
that
is
Pablo
vaguely
had.
decent anywhere. So I was like, okay, well, why didn't they trade him? Why didn't they do that? And so there are two theories as to why they didn't. So maybe Bill Belichick did Cam Newton a favor. Okay, maybe that's so. Or secondly, maybe actually Cam Newton has no market.
So there were likely no trade partners for Cam Newton because of what I was just talking about, in combination with what I'm about to talk about. Not a lot of teams have a starting quarterback who fits the play style that Cam could bring to them. So there's not really an incentive to trade for someone like Cam right now. Most teams have their week one quarterback room well established and aren't going to be looking to shake things up for at least the first few weeks of the season. You're going to see how things play out. And there's timing to all of this. The Patriots cut Cam Newton before week one because after week one, his contract would be guaranteed. Now, it was already an incredibly friendly contract for the Patriots, which is why cutting him is a fairly easy decision for them. but it's also why any possible suitors for Cam Newton probably won't even pick up the phone until week 2 or 3, because then they can sign him on a week-to-week basis and don't have to guarantee his contract for the entire season. Now, while we're on the topic of potential suitors, who is in the running in the Cam Newton sweepstakes?
I don't know what's next for Cam. I really don't.
Give me a hint.
You're talking about a guy, like you said, he's fairly young, 32, but he's not a typical 32-year-old drop-back quarterback.
Did you just give me one by saying it's a banger?
In terms of where he goes next, he's probably not a starter in the league.
And Cam's always been bizarrely coddled by the media.
Decisions made to bring Cam in as a backup. You concerned about the other guys.
Oh, the other quarterback in the room. So Cam Newton runs well, passes good enough. To me, Baltimore is the perfect spot because that's the offense that they run. And
whether Cam asked for a different opportunity, if he still wants to be a starter, there are not many places around the NFL that make sense for him at this point.
It's a lot of things that need to be taken in consideration.
The other spot that I look at is Houston because I don't think Deshaun Watson is playing this year.
Maybe Houston.
That's where my brain goes. What team is the most desperate for anything resembling quarterbacking stability? That is Houston.
Otherwise, I'm hearing teams like Denver, Carolina being thrown out. I don't see it.
I can never figure out why the media chooses to support some players and not others.
Because you're right, we're hearing details. Okay, maybe Deshaun Watson's not going on the exempt list. Maybe he is.
I think if he wants to be a starter outside of Houston, he's probably best served simply waiting for an opportunity to come up later in the season.
It is a banger.
I thought for certain Bill Belichick wanted to start Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Gone.
Oh my God!
I know, right?
Whoa!
Right? Cam Newton cut.
We triple checked it.
Now, if he's willing to be a backup, that's where it gets interesting to me.
It's like Lamar Jackson gets more crap. The guy wins 80% of his games. He gets better every year.
Because, and this is very important, Cam Newton didn't lose this job. Mac Jones won it by playing extraordinarily well, and we're going to talk about that later. But Cam actually had a good preseason.
While many agree that Cam Newton did have a good preseason this year, there just aren't a lot of suitors looking for his particular set of skills. So who is? Well, clearly the Texans. I think you gathered that by this point. But obviously, yes, the Texans could use Cam Newton's services either as a starter or as a backup to what I assume will be Tyrod Taylor. Next, we have the Dolphins. The book's still out on Tua. We don't really know. Expecting him to have a step-up season from last year, but what if he doesn't? And even maybe just as a backup, Cam Newton is athletic, move around inside the pocket to get outside the pocket. He could make a decent Tua impression if he needed to. Next is Indianapolis. Carson Wentz is consistent in one area, and that is in his injury proneness. Yeah, I'll make up words, I don't give a shit. Now, this isn't an apples to apples fit as far as Cam Newton backing up Carson Wentz, but again, you got to find athletic quarterbacks to have at least some sort of overlap on that Venn diagram. You don't want someone like Cam Newton backing up Tom Brady, or I don't know. How about Dallas? Dallas seems like a perfect fit. I'm almost surprised Dallas hasn't already signed Cam Newton, if for no other reason than the added name value and the marketability and the jersey sales. Obviously, Cam Newton at this point in his career is no threat to Dak, but he could run an offense that mainly would feature a heavy dose of runs and lots of play action passes. So Cam could run that offense with limited alterations if Dak should go down, and I imagine he'd be an upgrade from Cooper Rush. Now, Dallas did just sign Will Grier, so this is incredibly unlikely at this point, but it still feels like it's a good fit, and teams have done stranger things than carry 4 quarterbacks, and maybe Cooper Rush, maybe he makes the practice squad, but the Cowboys have also shown a willingness to cut him in the past, so can't rule them out yet. Now, my personal favorite choice here, I don't know how likely it is the Washington football team. Head coach Ron Rivera knows exactly what he can get out of Cam Newton. And while his play style does not look anything like that of current starter Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke can be mobile, and if Fitzpatrick were to go down, Washington's in a situation where they really just need game managers. So maybe Cam could make an adjustment there. Again, he'd have a coach that would, if anyone's going to have a backup playbook for Cam Newton, good bet on the guy who's coached him for most of his career to be able to have a handful of plays handy. Like, okay, well, we can run this stuff if Cam has to come in for a series or two. So there you have it. That's my list. The top dogs in the race to acquire Cam Newton. And again, I think the most likely scenario is the one where someone, maybe not even out of this cluster of team, calls Cam after about a month into the season and someone's had a lengthy injury long enough to put them on IR, and at that point Cam will step in.
So are they going with like Mac? With Stidham still there?
He might be. And Hoyer?
And Hoyer? What?
We've already heard all of these guys fawning over Mac Jones, so let me put a bow on this by discussing the Patriots' immediate future as well as that of their rookie quarterback. In all reality, the Patriots are in a fight for second place in this division this year. The Bills look like their best team, and I don't know that the Dolphins aren't better than the Patriots right now. And the one thing we can all bet on is that the Jets will be in last place. So the Patriots will probably be right around that 500 mark, above or below you pick. Possibly in the hunt for a wild card spot, but I really expect this to still be a downer season, probably a game or two away from a 500 record. And Mac Jones is just going to be okay. I mean, go back if you didn't notice, look at the young man's footwork. He's got professional feet, he's got pocket ready feet, good awareness, and keeps his eyes downfield. He's making all the right plays, and let's just say for shits and giggles, he is the next Tom Brady. Well, even Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady in his first year starting in New England, so I would temper my expectations with this guy. There's not all of a sudden, the Patriots are not back. You know, the dynasty has not been restored. But this is a team that spent a lot of money on free agents. They added a lot of depth, they added a lot of talent, and they probably are only now a couple of years away from returning to multiple playoffs.
Man, did this dude just did this?